everyone, this is Jaden's from Failure Group Emerald and SWTOR, and this is the last guide boss that I needed to make for the Operation Nature of Progress, aka Dxun. The Apex Vanguard is definitely it has like a kind of a DPS and a heal check, but for the most part, later into the fight it's going to be about survivability if you can do the numbers. So there are different strats to deal with this boss, but I'm only gonna go over the strat that the group Emerald does, which is the half room strat. I'm gonna go over both of tank POVs and try to explain everything. But first of all, I'm gonna show like an image that is pretty much our strat. We pretty much go from the EMP console to the wash console. We only tank the boss in front of the room. The EMP console is the red, gray is flares, purple is the red Venom one, yellow stems, and the light blue is wash. And the giant blue puddles you see is usually where we kill the ads. What do you mean ads? Yes, Apex Vanguard and Nightmare Mode has ads, the anti-theft droids, which their purpose is to pull the tank during the battery, because whenever they spawn their initial aggro, they're gonna aim for tanks and they have a long range pull. But after, if there's no one carrying battery, or the tank drops the battery, they just have a normal threat table after that, so it's more like an annoyance than anything. But they also, whenever the ads die, they drop a blue puddle, which you can use to charge the battery. So you don't have to use the console to heal a lot. Killing ads efficiently is gonna be important, because by doing that, you're gonna pretty much increase your raid DPS. Before we actually go into the video, I'm gonna go with the battery order, which this is going to be pretty much the battery order for both first and second battery. That's how we deal with 3 flares, stems, red venom, wash, 3 flares, EMP, 3 flares, wash. The ones that are pink background means they gonna happen, but the order can change. One can happen before the other, but but they're gonna happen one after the other. Then 3 flares, charge, red venom, wash can be swapped order. 3 flares, charge, EMP with battery, because since you have the blue stacks that charge the battery, if you have a full battery and you walk into a blue puddle, you're gonna blow up the battery. Sometimes you might want to use that, but you don't want to use all the time. Then you may our tank makes 2 flares, wash, venom, EMP with the battery, wash, venom, EMP, EMP. And usually if you keep going longer on the fight, there's gonna be more venoms than EMP, but we're gonna go over all of this once we are actually watching the fight and commenting over. So I'm mainly gonna go over both tank POV. That's all I got, but I'm gonna explain stuff for every role. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is how we're gonna do flares, because there's a bug on the flare. If you're over 70 meters, the flare is ineffective. So we just have both healers picking up flares, and we alternate. We have one healer pick up the first 3, then the next healer picks up the next, and they just alternate when they do the flares and they communicate. So let's go over the boss. First of all, we have the tank that's gonna do the battery first, pulling the boss, because that tank can use all their cooldowns. Your cooldown is gonna be back up by the time you need to do battery. By the time you're gonna have to tank the boss, so you can just literally use everything on your opener. This video is kind of bad quality because I got from my stream. But I don't have a really good quality video to explain the my tank POV, without bugging Red Venom. And since the bug Red Venom changed so much throughout the months, it's not worth it to use a old video. So whenever photogenesis happen, we just use our raid buffs and all our buffs to break the power transformer as fast as possible, and then we tank swap. Synth tanks are the best to do the battery, followed by jugs and PTs. I don't know why I focus target on the wrong target, but so the first thing I'm gonna go and make 3 flares on the flare console. I make 3 flares and there's gonna be 1 charge left, and I know there's gonna be a second battery coming. So since there's 1 charge left, I'm gonna just go and make stems. Usually I can pick up like a 2 to 6 stems. It depends. But I always pick some stems just in case. I picked up 2. There's gonna be a contagion. And as soon as I pick up my stems, so the important thing, since stems are constantly producing, you can have a DPS picking up stems all the time. You can legit just have them go, not all the time, but you can pick up a lot. As soon as I pick up my stems after the contagion, one of the DPS is already going to pick up stems. You should make an order for people to pick up stems, because you want to have the DPS always pick up at least 2 pickups for DPSs at least. 2 should be enough if they pick up a full bay of 12, or they pick up 20 stems. It should be enough to stem every Voltinator and in between Voltinators, and have stems for burn. So just make an order, and in between the DPS pickups, you kind of want to have tanks and healers picking up, because tanks gonna need stems for Bloodlust and Ultraviolence, which are abilities where the boss is gonna be pretty much enraged. You can survive with Deflection and Saber Ward, but I'm not gonna count on that because it doesn't give you 100% defense, and stemming as a tank, it increases your defense to 100%. While for DPS and healers, you just get a lot of crit. And for healers, it's gonna help a lot because number 1 is during the Voltinator, the blinding is gonna apply a dot to the whole group, and that's gonna do a lot of damage. And the healers stimming Voltinators is pretty good, and healers stimming Ultraviolence is also good, because every rocket salvo, even the regular rocket salvo, it's gonna apply a dot once you get hit. So you don't want to stack up, because if you stack during rocket salvo, you're just gonna you're gonna increase the dot, and it always goes on the DPS. So you never want to be stacked for rocket salvo. You can stack after, but you want to spread again. So ads gonna spawn on the room, and what you want to have is whenever they spawn, you want to have a DPS tagging them, so they can group up ads and kill later. We usually assign our ranged DPS. On this kill, we had double Merc, but we usually have double Sork. It doesn't matter if it's Lightning or Madness. You just want to have DPS tagging, just to group up, and later on kill whenever we need. We already had Rocket Salvo. We had multiple things happening. I think Rocket Salvo is gonna go off again, or just went off. It just went off. The DPS got stacks here, but they were not stacked, so got only 1. The stack from Rocket Salvo does roughly a 50k damage to the person. So the second battery arrived. It always arrives around the same time, and you don't want to pull the battery too fast, because there is a bug where the boss is going to continuously heal if you pull up the battery too fast. So give a 2 seconds and pull. The next thing he's going to do is a Red Venom. Some ads just spawned, so I have the debuff that the ads are looking for me, but since I plugged the battery, I don't have the battery anymore, so they forget my existence once the DPS tags them. Oh, this flare I have is a fake flare that I got on the box before the boss, so don't worry, this is not an actual flare. So I click the Red Venom console as soon as I see Bloodlust, because the way they did to fix Red Venom bug, they increased the time the console is gonna cleanse the Red Venom, so you can literally pre-click as soon as you see Bloodlust, and you can already bring the battery for the wash, because the 5th puddle is about to drop, and I want to wash ASAP, and do the tank swap here. Sometimes the set of ads that just spawned here, on the side of the wash console, they don't spawn. You're just gonna need your DPS to kill an extra set of ads later on. I'll say when you have to kill the extra set, but this is if they spawn, you don't have to. I'm gonna go to my co-tank's POV on the tank swap to continue the battery. So I stopped on the first wash. Here I wash and we tank swap. He's gonna go pick up the ads and help the DPS kill the ads. He wants to kill like on the side of the console, on a space that is not gonna interfere with people's pathing. They just kill every ad, and he picks up some stims because he's gonna need stims whenever we tank swap again. The DPS tag the ads, and he picks up the battery, and he needs, for the next mechanics, he needs 6 charges because he is gonna make 3 flares and break EMP. So he's gonna go make flares. By the way, I'm using 2 different kill videos, but it's gonna be enough to explain. He breaks his EMP, and then it's time to tank swap again. So with this, the battery order is gonna be the next thing. I'm gonna have to make flares, and that's gonna be during the Voltonator. So at this point, we should we're already gonna have tank swapped. So let's go back to the POV of this. We tank swapped. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pick up all the ads, the 4 ads that are already spawned, and I wanna pick up the 2 that spawned. And I'm gonna bring them to the side because the battery is on the EMP console. And we wanna kill the ads. The healers are doing their flares, DPS are killing ads and tagging ads. The main thing about the range job on our group is know where to position the ads and kill them on the right spot, because you don't want to kill them at any on just any place in the room. You want to kill in specific spots to make easier for everyone, to make easier for pathing, since the DPS and the healers are most likely in the front, and not make it bad for the tank to not blow up the battery. So I'm gonna go grab the battery as soon as those ads spawn, so I don't have an aggro of them. I'm gonna pick up all the puddles. The blinding is gonna happen. As you can see, the blinding dot. You're gonna see my HP going down. Everyone is taking damage, and we still need to break the Voltonator like normal. I don't recommend tanks stimming on the Voltonator because you need to save for the Bloodlust cast. Otherwise, you have a high chance to get one shot. And Bloodlust turns into Ultraviolence sub 30%. Also, whenever Bloodlust casts, it gives the boss 1 stack of Darkness Overdrive. So even if you do perfect flares, he's still gonna have stacks. I pick up the battery. I pick up the puddles. If the ads didn't spawn, there would be 2 less puddles. I want to pick up 2 puddles even though I have still 1 charge to do the wash. The wash is still 2 charges, but I'm gonna explain why I do this in a second. So at this point, there's no DPS picking up stims here, so it's a chance for me to pick up my stims here. I don't have enough. I don't know why I stimmed there, but so I want to grab around 18 to it's 16 to 20 stims is enough for you if you're doing my job. So the next mechanic is gonna be red Venom or mass target. In this case, it always alternates. Like if we look on the battery order, I just did the wash, and it's gonna be EMP or red Venom. It's gonna alternate. So I'll plug the battery and I'll just break. In case it's red Venom, I have one charge already, so I just need to pick up I can pick up 2 more charges and clear the red Venom. And the next thing I have to make are flares. So I got a fully charged battery. The DPS had to do an ad kill while I was picking up stems, by the way, so they just killed near the EMP console to make easy for me. And the boss was also there, so they were close. It's very convenient. So you can just pre-click red Venom every time and it works. And here I just need to pick up 1 puddle, and I have 5 charges to make flares. You just need 5 charges to make a full set of flares, by the way, because the first one costs only 1 charge. Every other one costs 2. So the ads just spawned, and they are about to come for me. And the next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna charge the battery to full. I just dropped the battery and stealthed out, and then I'm gonna start charging. This is gonna be a tank swap. The DPS are grouping up more ads. So this next part here, I'm gonna go back to the jug tank POV in a second, since he's doing the battery now. But like in the next, he's gonna have to unplug the battery, because I just plugged the battery and I don't unplug for him. Like that's gonna be his job to unplug into the rest of the mechanics until after Deluge. I'm gonna show my POV during Acid Deluge. But like now, going to his POV, I just started charging. And then I took the boss. That was desync, by the way. And then he takes a battery. And the next thing is gonna happen. He's gonna do a Voltinator, or he's gonna do red Venom. It's always random. If the boss just did a Bloodlust and I stemmed, Acid Blast dropped. So whenever he does the 5th acid, or he's gonna do, like he did a blinding, so that means he's gonna do another spit, or he's gonna do another, or he's gonna do red Venom. Here, our jug tank stemmed and attacked the ads, and he helped kill the ads. Sometimes he has a DPS just clicking the console, since the DPS are close and he's helping kill ads, or he's far away. But in this case, he just washed here. He washed and then he went to the red Venom. He's gonna pick up more charges, and he needs to make flares. He has 5 charges, and that's the ad was about to pull him, but he dropped the battery, so it's going to be fine for him. He's not gonna get pulled. The DPS already did their second pickup for stims, and the healers should have enough stims at this point, and our jug tank's gonna go pick up more stims, since this is pretty much the last stim pickup for the rest of the fight. He needs more stims so he can tank the rest of the fight. And also helps for him to get the hydraulics, so he doesn't so he's not gonna just be slow doing the battery. So here he's gonna charge the stim's battery. The boss just did an EMP, but he's gonna do a blinding soon. I just tagged 3 ads because whenever you are main tanking, you want to avoid doing AoEs around the boss when the ads spawn. Because the ads are spawned like a based on location. Like the boss location and where he's facing. And in that case, they spawn close and I just did a wither. So he's gonna do there, he's gonna charge the battery. We're gonna apply trauma on the boss because having trauma when the boss is healing is really important because he's gonna heal a lot less. And he's gonna blow up the battery to get rid of the EMP. The thing is that here the boss was at high stacks and he went to low stacks. He went to 0. Usually we have him going to 0 to like a 1 or 2 stacks, and that makes a lot easier because at that point is the most dangerous for me because I started running low on cooldowns. So the droid is gonna place another battery to replace the old one that just blew up, and we have a DPS removing the battery. Also, during Bloodlust, the boss is immune to taunts, so I was lucky that he could AoE taunt the ads off me without getting the boss. And he's positioning to kill the ads, so when DPS goes and unplugs the battery and just drops. That battery is bugged, by the way, because the new replacement batteries, if you don't charge, they're gonna come with 0 charges, and whenever you pick up 1 charge, it's gonna blow up. But we just use for our advantage to break another EMP later. So our jug tank just picks up the ads, and he kills a bunch of ads just to prepare the battery to do. He needs to wash whenever the next puddle drops, and he also needs to do the red venom when Deluge happens. Acid Deluge is really close to happening. It usually happens on the 40% D-stack. He's gonna make 2 flares before it, so we have more control on stacks later, but this is when we completely abandon flares. It's after those 2 flares, and then he just needs to wash and clear red venom, but he needs to wash first because it's about to enter Deluge. Entering Acid Deluge, I should go back to my POV. So here, going back, battery order, we are at the red venom, wash to red venom before the second EMP broken with the battery. So going back to my POV here, Acid Deluge is happening. What I do here is that since I run 2 cloaks, because our strat involves 2 cloaks, I stealth the first charge of Acid Deluge, and then I AoE taunt the boss. I stealth the second in a single taunt, because he does the second spit is gonna be after 1 auto attack. So if he's sub 30% during Deluge, instead of casting Bloodlust, he's gonna do Ultraviolence. The difference between Ultraviolence and Bloodlust is instead of building 1 Darkness Overdrive, he's gonna build 5 stacks at once. And whenever he does Rocket Salvo, it's gonna double stack instantly, so you don't wanna stack on people at all. And if your DPS have off heals and the healers are struggling here, I really recommend you to start off healing because it's about surviving. It's all about surviving this point. Red Venom happens. So here we're gonna do the other tank swap, and I'm gonna stay on my POV here because the boss boss casted a target lock and he's gonna do a contagion. So here, what do you want to have? The battery that was bugged out before, or you want to have the tank on the swap depending on how late was your swap, picking up that battery and walking into 1 charge to blow up the battery, or you want to have the DPS at 1 DPS doing that. We had the DPS here, but I usually do that if I can. Then I just cleanse my contagion, the DPS blows up the battery, and he needs to keep an eye for when the battery plugs back in to remove. And the DPS need to prepare to kill more ads because the battery is gonna be at pretty low charges. You want to keep like at least 2 charges near the EMP because looking at the battery order again, he's gonna spam EMPs at the end. So you pick up the stim, the battery that he used to do the mechanics. Like I got a stack from Rocket Salvo. I wanna have a full battery at least, because here, instead of washing every 5 puddles, on the 4th puddle I'm gonna just wash, and we wanna have those ads dead. So the ads might go to healers, and you want the healers to stack so you can kill the ads. I just washed, and then I want to plug on the red Venom console next. Because I'm gonna do the red Venom. There's gonna be one red Venom before Deluge, and then I have to wash the room after Deluge, and there's gonna be another red Venom after Deluge. This is a pretty skeptical part for healers, because every ultraviolence scheme, it's so scary because of the double rockets. Red Venom, Acid Deluge. I'm gonna show both POVs here. Like I have a full battery here, and I'm just gonna wash here. And I'm gonna plug the battery. I just washed early, but as long as the boss has the debuff from the wash, the puddle is gonna get washed. So I'm just gonna plug the battery on the red Venom console, and I'm gonna pre-click, because like I said, you have like a 20 seconds to pre-click. I just pre-clicked, and I'm preparing to take the boss after the ultraviolence, and he's gonna do an EMP here. I take the boss, and he's gonna do a Venom, and that Venom is gonna get instantly cleansed. I'm gonna go to the Jug Tank POV for Acid Deluge, for the second Acid Deluge, on how he deals with that. Because Jug has to deal with that differently than Assassin, because you can't just stealth with puddles. Also, if the boss is at really high stacks and you have no defensives anymore, you should just kite, like ask for predation or something and kite. So the boss doesn't melee you and instantly kills you. Going back to the Jug POV here. Okay, so the red Venom, he dropped an Acid Blast. He kind of started kiting because he's low on cooldowns. Acid Deluge is happening. So he just runs, so he doesn't get destroyed, and he uses one stim to get more speed. He just wants a lot of speed here, so he doesn't die. And he's gonna tank this ultraviolence. And we need to tank swap, because I'm gonna get tank swapped here if we don't. Like I plugged the battery on the Venom, it was instantly cleansed, and he needs to clear EMP. Sometimes my battery has charges, sometimes it doesn't. If it doesn't have charges, he needs to get charges that are near the EMP. If it has a charge, he can just plug in and break it. So he's gonna go in and break it. And he's gonna prepare, because there's gonna be another target lock. And whenever you break that second one, the zone defense is gonna be gone too. The boss should be low HP enough for you to enter in burn here, because he enters in burn in 5% HP. And you want to have everyone using stims here to burn the boss as fast as possible. One note that I never mentioned is that the Darkness Overdrive stacks makes the boss take more damage. Last Ditches is enrage. He always enrages at 5%. So since he's at 20 stacks, you just stim and you kill him fast. You use stims, you use your defensives. If both tanks end up dying, just spread out and don't let the boss cleave each other. And you also want to avoid killing ads and burn so it doesn't kill people. Like we swapped here on the stims, on cooldowns. And that should be it. This should be your Apex Vanguard kill. So if you got to this point and you got your kill, congratulations. Also, if your kill goes longer, you need to do another red Venom and another EMP. If your DPS is lower at the end, you can still do if people die. If one DPS dies, you can still do. If one tank dies and you kite and have a DPS doing better, you can still do. It's just a matter of getting to the end. Again, thanks everyone for watching. I might make a guide on the kite strat for Apex, the origin strat, since we know how to do that too, and we use for sale runs. And we did for the whenever we did the second time of the wash achievement. But I hope you guys enjoyed the Apex Vanguard guide. And next week, maybe this week, there is going to be the Gods from the Machine guides coming up slowly, explaining all the roles. So I hope everyone enjoyed and have a nice day. See you next time.